my face changed. Hello Goodie Two Shoes and welcome to another reading video. I am so excited for this one. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, YouTube, recommended a video to me, and it was this one, or I'll probably put it in the description. It was Joe Rogan interviewing an author. They were talking about her book, and just the stuff that they were talking about sounded really cool. So I went to my library and they had all of her books. So I put them on hold and here we are. Well, this week, it's gonna be a whole week vlog. Don't know if a week is going to be 5, 6, or 7 days, or maybe longer. However long it takes to read all of these books and the other one that I already finished. I hope this is fine for... Oh wait, hold on. I need to make a I'm scared face. Because look at how big these books are. Okay, anyway, hopefully that's good. We are going to be reading just Annie Jacobsen books for a whole week. So I didn't know that I was going to be starting this today. I mean, I knew that I wanted to do this, but I didn't know that I was going to be starting this. So I was attempting to read the afterword of this book. Decided I read the book part of it. There's an afterword. There's 25 years after the book was written. I don't really want to read either of those, so I'm not going to. I'm pulling my bookmark off. I marked it off on my Goodreads. This book is read. So we're just going to pretend that that didn't happen today, and today's going to be day number 1. And I'm so excited. Okay, so I have been reading Operation Paperclip as part of a different reading video that you guys already saw, and I've been reading it on Libby as the ebook, and then it's been playing on audiobook on my phone, in my headphones, also on Libby. I got both on Libby. I'm not doing a great job of explaining this. I don't know why I feel the need to explain the fact that I have both copies of the same book on Libby, just different formats, but every time I'm like, so anyway, I basically finished Operation Paperclip today. So that's fine. That can still count as part of the video. I still want to read the afterword, and there's some other things in the ebook that I want to read. There's some photos that I can look at. I think I might take a look at the author interviews and bibliography, and then I also wanted to take a look at Annie Jacobsen's suggestions for further reading. That's a little bit more for me to read today. So that one, Operation Paperclip, is about, well, it was an operation. After World War II, we brought Nazi scientists over to America, and they did science things for us. Obviously, you know, I really learned a lot reading this book. I read it on 3x speed, so I wasn't paying 100% attention. Even though I am still interested in this thing, and I get kind of what they were trying to do, because the Soviets also had German scientists. Like, there were lots of German scientists. Some of them went to America, some of them went to the Soviets, and because we knew some of them went to the Soviets, we wanted to make sure that we also had some scientists, and that we also learned, we had access to the science that they were learning, the things that they were doing, and because a lot of it involved weapons, whether they were like nuclear or biological, like that had an effect in war, and so we wanted to make sure that we also had information and access to that, and that we could defend ourselves against potential things that the Soviets also had. But it does kind of seem like Nazi scientists that we brought over, we gave them very good lives, like access to visas that were very much wanted, and we gave them to horrible people who did awful things. And the basis of the book, when she was talking about this in interviews, was not like necessarily was it right, but was it necessary? And I don't, just from what I gathered, it didn't really seem like it was necessary. Anyway, I don't feel like I explained that well, but I was also doing it for a different type of video, and so I wasn't paying the most attention. We'll do better for the next ones. Next is Area 51, an uncensored history of America's top secret military base. I'm so excited for this one. There's always kind of like, okay, so acknowledgements. This is the book. This is the back, which I may or may not read. Acknowledgements, there's some notes. It looks like there's mostly just notes. Okay, I'm not gonna read this. I mean, I might read the acknowledgements page, but I'm probably just gonna read this, which is already a lot. I do have the audiobook, you guys. I'm going to be listening to the audiobook, following along in this book, because I want to get through it, so, because I'm gonna read the other ones pretty slow, except for Surprise, Kill, Vanish, which I also have the audiobook of. It's just, it's a 2-week wait. Is it 2 weeks? Is it 4 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? I don't know. But I have to wait because I'm second in line. I was third, so making progress. I'm very excited for this video, and yeah. This book is really cool. I'm paying more attention than I was when I was reading Operation Paperclip. Just trying to be more intentional about like reading the words and paying attention when the audiobook is going. And it's pretty cool. I feel like, I think we're kind of going back and forth, yes, from parts in time. So like it's all in the 1900s, but sometimes it's in the 1950s, the 1960s, and then sometimes it's in like the 90s, I think. And sometimes that's hard for my brain to work with, because I understand she's going with like she gets to a point and it's like, we need some backstory here, this is what was happening then, but my brain doesn't work that way. My brain works chronologically, so when we go backwards, I don't know what we were doing before, and I can't remember dates for like the life of me. So I either need to do like a better job of actually taking notes of that and figuring out what's happening when, but it's also helping me understand more of Operation Paperclip, because I think I cut out this part, but I was talking about how it didn't seem like the Soviets were doing anything with the German scientists, the Nazi scientists that they had. That was wrong, but it talks more about it in here. Like, it didn't talk about that in Operation Paperclip, but it talks about it in here. And so this book was written first, before Operation Paperclip. So there's kind of more backstory, but yeah, so interesting, definitely. Also just really cool to know, but also a little scary. But yeah, at this point I figure, like, you know what, science stuff is kind of out of my control. I can't really do anything about that. So I'm trying not to like worry about it. I'm gonna read more of this tomorrow. For the last half an hour of me reading today, I'm probably gonna read either Phenomena or The Pentagon's Brain. I think we should probably read this one, because I think it'll connect a little bit more to this in Operation Paperclip, and that would probably just keep it a little bit better in my brain than doing a completely different one. Yeah, probably gonna read a half an hour of The Pentagon's Brain later. The Pentagon's Brain. Right, you guys, just a quick update for reading any Jacobsen for a week. I think this is, I think I've been reading just any Jacobsen for the last 3 days. So I finished Operation Paperclip. We kind of went over that already. I finished Area 51. I think it was yesterday. And I'm also reading The Pentagon's Brain. I am at, oh, bookmarks are falling out. I'm on chapter 4 of The Pentagon's Brain in part 1. There are 5 parts, 26 chapters. So I've got a long ways to go for that one. But I did want to discuss Area 51. I took some notes, so let me go grab my Notion. Notes. This book was, the end part of it was just difficult. It hurts me to think about it. And yes, but basically, uncensored history of the America's top secret military base. So mostly it goes over kind of the things that were worked on and that people came up with there. This kind of takes place during the war to space. I think that's what it's called. The space race, that thing. The German scientists that we brought over from Germany after World War II, one of them specifically, I think it was Werner von Braun, like helped us get to the moon. Area 51 tested bombs, like hydrogen bombs and nuclear bombs. They had a lot of test sites for that. They built airplane, like spycraft, to spy on other countries with speeds and abilities beyond their time. So whenever we learned about something, it was new and novel for its time, but like in Area 51, they've been flying and working with these planes and projects for years. They also have weaponized drones. Those were a thing. And the drones were designed to look like birds and like dragonflies, just like small and sort of camouflaged spy drones, but they also have weaponized drones. Those were different. In 2000, aircraft without pilots was a reality, which I don't think a lot of people thought about that at the time. I think it was still like kind of science fiction, but like it was actually a thing. So that was just really cool how knowing that America's scientific advancements are way ahead of their time. But also like they weren't just our scientific advancements, like we also had German scientists helping and doing stuff. But it did talk about in the very end about the crash at Roswell. She talked about one of the engineers that worked helping with the crash site. I think it was to like the craft that was recovered, to reverse engineer it and figure out how it worked. I think that was a thing. The things that it ended up like actually being, it kind of made sense, and I don't really want to talk about it. Some of it didn't, or like I just didn't understand the reasoning behind it. I'm not doing a great job of explaining this, but I'm not really trying very hard to explain what happened. But she does kind of explain part of the Roswell accident, as well as going over lots of things that happened or that were tested in Area 51 and Area 52 and just other places. I really enjoyed this book, and I highly recommend picking it up. Whether you believe in the Roswell thing or not and what she says about it, I think it was still really good to read the rest of it, and it was very cool, very insightful. Highly recommend. It will be linked in the description. I have Amazon affiliate links, but all the books will be linked in the description. I'm working on this book currently, The Pentagon's Brain. I was reading both of these at the same time, and they're a little too similar, so I have to figure out which one was which. So mostly it's going over nuclear weapons tests and how some people wanted to stop the weapons tests, but ultimately they ended up going forward with it. And they had a whole dilemma, debate thing. It was called the prisoner's dilemma, and it was using that to figure out whether we should, or America should continue with nuclear tests or if they should stop, especially after Russia like showed that they had some nuclear weapon. I don't remember exactly what that entailed, but yeah, not very far into this yet, but right now it's going into like different wars. So the part 1 is the Cold War, that's what I'm reading right now. Part 2 is the Vietnam War. Part 3 is Operations Other Than War. Part 4 is the War on Terror, and Part 5 is Future War. So right now I'm reading about the Cold War, and yeah, I will update you guys more on this later as I continue reading it throughout the week. And yes. Hey y'all, little reading update. I'm almost done with part 1 of the Pentagon's Brain, and I'm getting a little bored of this one. And so I was thinking about starting Phenomenon. That one. But I think I'm going to keep at this one. I might start reading both of them at the same time and just read like a chapter of one and a chapter of the other every day. We'll see what happens. That's just my little update. It's going. Access 360, but I just found out today that it can go up to 3x speed, and they have the audiobook for the Pentagon's Brain, and this was just I was reading it really slow. It wasn't interesting me as much, but I'm actually somehow paying a lot more attention and getting a lot more information. It's actually sticking than when I was just reading it, so this has been good. Update again. Finished the Pentagon's Brain last night. I was so tired, but I felt like I understood more of it. Reading the audiobook got a lot more of it done, but I will talk about it with you guys later. Hello friends, this is the outro clip. So I forgot to update. I finished the Pentagon's Brain. What happened after that, no one knows, including me. What I wrote down in my Notion, because I don't remember all of the things. I tried to write some stuff down, but I think it was mostly like weapons tests. I think it was mostly testing weapons and things. So that's why I was a little bored reading this one. Okay, Pentagon's Brain. Notes. Okay, the notes was just, it was something that they mentioned at the beginning of the book that I talked about already. It was the prisoner's dilemma that just kind of made me think about something in a different way. Oh, dang it. I looked at keynote takeaways for the Vietnam War. So it was like the history of the internet. It was talking about ARPA and DARPA, which is Advanced Research something. So we were fighting a war in Vietnam, and America didn't know about that for a long time. So in Vietnam there was chemical warfare, and there was also an attempt at psychological warfare. So I think Vietnam, was this in Vietnam? Where they captured spies, and the spies were saying terrible things about America, and so America, the government just said that they were brainwashed. It went into more stuff with that, and then it also kind of went into the psychological tests that they were conducting. It kind of briefly mentioned that sort of thing, which is actually what I'm reading about in Phenomena. So they're not as separate as I kind of thought they were, which makes sense. Yeah, so lots of just chemical testing, nuclear testing, warfare things. There were other things that were things other than war and future war. Those were kind of the other parts in the book that I briefly mentioned, but I just kind of mentioned that they were a thing. I didn't really talk about them. I don't remember all of the things. I know I said I was understanding it more when I was reading the audiobook, but it's been a couple days. And yeah, I just remember testing, ARPANET, internet, that sort of thing, why it's called the internet. So that was cool to learn. If you're interested in sciencey things, I would recommend that book. So that was kind of the Pentagon's brain. I know, again, I didn't explain this well. But now I am in the middle of reading Phenomena. I'm about halfway, you can see. And this is going to be the last clip of the video, but I did want to talk about this for a little bit. So this is basically, what is it? The secret history of the US government's investigations into extrasensory perception and psychokinesis, going over what was going on in the 1900s, same time as all of the other books really, but with more of the focus on ESP and PK, was that psychokinesis? And yes, so it's definitely interesting, and it is from a very scientific perspective as well. Like, they did all of the tests. They tried to have people who weren't as like invested in wanting this to be real and just trying to make it very scientific, lots of scientific tests, you know, testable, repeatable, all that. I'm not finished with this yet, but I'm going to try to read. I'm gonna finish it within the next couple of days, but yes. So I guess, do I recommend these books? Yes, if you're interested in this stuff. Even if you're not interested in some of the things, I think it'd still be good to pick up and learn just what our government is doing, some of the things that they've already done, and just some science and technological things. No, not everybody's interested in this, but I think it is still good to kind of know and learn, because a lot of it involves warfare, and that does involve civilians in some way. What did I learn from this? I think I learned a lot. Area 51 was my favorite of the books. I don't remember exactly why, but I think I just connected with it the best. The way that she writes it is not my favorite just because it isn't chronological. I feel like I need a timeline in these books just to help focus my brain on all the things that were happening when. Because what happens is she talks about this experiment, she talks about the people that were running the experiment, so then she does a few pages of backstory on these people and just like how they, or where they grew up, how they got to where they are, and why, which is great. Love backstory, that's good. It happens a lot, and I think that's still important to know who these people were. I'm a little bored of reading that, and that's totally on me. And also, it's not chronological, because then this person that we got the backstory on was doing this experiment, and then we met this person, and then more backstory. So yes, I do think I learned a lot about government experiments, nuclear things, internet, and yeah, also learning about actual experiments in extrasensory perception and psychokinesis, and what our military and government was doing to learn about this stuff, and just mistakes that they've made, but also still good things that they've done. I've had some fun with this challenge. I am definitely going to be doing a form of this video again where I read maybe not just an author, but like just a genre. That's kind of where I got this idea from, was people would do like reading a genre for a week. Instead, it was like nonfiction, but there's so many nonfiction, so I did author. Yeah, But I'm going to be doing this with different genres and different types of nonfiction because that's kind of what I've been focusing on recently. But I'm very excited to continue this. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!